Bleh. Bleh. I was up stupidly late last night. Stupidly late. And it was all my own fault. All my own fault. I did it to myself. I did it to myself. Oh. 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 Gross. Yeah, good morning, everyone. You guys had a fantastic evening and a fantastic night's rest. Well, good morning, Jojo the Argus. Good morning, Slothmas Prime. Good morning, Pip Pip. P5, it's so weird to play them after playing so much of the remakes. Have you seen the trailer for Season 2 of Todd's Fallout? I really do not want to suffer through the genuine dog shit that is the Fallout show. So I'm definitely not seeking out to look at the trailer for Todd Slop, the the absolute raising of an entire franchise and turning it into a joke of what it was. Oh my god. Oh. Oh, the humanity. Those are pretty good fucking puns. I didn't watch any of the Gamescom stuff. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should watch the Gamescom feed today as well while we work on the book. Because we can actually just skip the, usual PR wankery stuff, right? Oh, excuse me. At least I assume there's PR wankery because I saw Jeff Keighley's face, and if there's anything that's synonymous with a lack of integrity, it's definitely Jeff Keighley. See. Oh man, why? Why in the fuck? There. Oh, they played it at the Gamescom thing, didn't they? Blech. Right. Well, I'll just check what the announcements are then, because I don't want to see fucking Fallout 2's stupidity. You can't spell ignorant without IGN. Ooh. They're doing a sequel to Black Myth Wukong. Okay, well, that's already got me very interested. Because Black Myth Wukong was genuinely fantastic. Like, holy fuck. Ready for Bloodlines 2? Oh, of course not. Especially not because now we have the new and improved White Wolf. With the, usual leftist ideology bullshit. Morning, Mouse. So, we've got that, and nothing that Bloodlines 2 has ever put out has looked good. So it's gonna be a total fucking disaster. That's just one of those things. Do not hold your breath. Resident Evil Requiem. Ghost of Yotai, Song of Vengeance. World of Tanks Heat. What? Hold on. Curious. Because we got Steel Aces coming, right? At least we still have the original. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true. Hold on. Let's check this out, shall we? Let's check this out. My autoplay settings. Yeah, fuck that. No. No, turn it off. No, I can't turn off autoplay. Also, what is with this quality? There we go. Wait, it's just more arcadey than World of Tanks already is? Oh my god. Yeah, hard fucking pass. World of Tanks, you were already an arcade fucking mess. Yeah, hard pass. We already have better games than that. Funnily enough, Gaijin has a better game than that, which was great. Good job, Brain. I played the shit out of it. I can't even remember what it is. I'm pretty sure it was Cross Out, right? Let me check. Yes, it was Cross Out. Yeah. So they're just racing to try to compete with what Gaijin put out 8 years ago. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. 80s first-person co-op shooter. Oh, it's a horde shooter. That could be interesting. Silksong comes out this year. This year has been terrible for all my favorite game series. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Warning, Eldritch Dragoon. Project Spectrum review. Team behind Delta Force with a horror flavor. It's PvE and PvP. Seems to be the option to transform into a monster yourself. Dash of Fear 2 about it. Dark forest with monstrous anomalies, a supernatural ability, seeking violence by any means necessary. Use of powerful weapons to dispatch enemies and become the hunter or hunted. Project Spectrum coming soon. Okay, well let's watch that, I guess. Next. Fucking hate that those are the controls for that.
Can you describe the sound in the recording?
Sorry.
Let's go back to the start.
I remember the wind. Strong wind.
Lady, I'm going to tell you one thing right now. Cut your fucking hair or put it up in a bun or something. Keep it out of your fucking face. Like, why would you even have that as an option? Especially if it looks like you're going up against like SCPs and shit like that. Like, what the fuck? Keep your hair out of your eyes.
What the hell happened here?
We got company!
Oh. Oh, that's rough.
loss is too heavy
Okay.
for you. But sometimes, loss can birth beasts and bury truths.
Your subtitles are wrong.
What do you think? What if you are the beast?
The beast?
Well, this is interesting, right? Maybe potential. I don't know. Let's see more of it. Oh, we got another buildy survival crafty game. Everwind. Build a base on a flying island ship. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, they know my weakness. They know my weakness. Okay. Okay. Right, well. Ah, shit, it's on my radar because it's right in my fucking alley immediately. Damn it. You guys have no idea. I want a proper train survival game. You have no idea. There's a couple, but they're rough. World of Warcraft Midnight, could not give a shit. Age of Empires 4 PS5 announcement, alright. Survival Adventure Enshrouded Wake of Water update. Gameplay for Cinder City, formerly Project LLL, in this trailer for the upcoming MMO tactical shooter. MMO tactical shooter. Ooh. I haven't played Last Train Home, no. But I know what it's about. It's about the March of the Czech Legion. Alright, we're gonna pop this up. Alright, hang on. Cinder City, eh?
Freeze! ADF!
Get on the ground now! Drop your weapon or we'll shoot!
Drop your weapon! Last warning!
You've crossed the line. Are you trying to get us all killed here?
Guys, he drew a firearm on you. Why in the fuck are you not shooting him? Holy shit, you know what this reminds me of? Okay. Fucking that's some rough trailer footage and music. Well, you know what this reminds me of? Did you guys ever play Defiance? Those animations. Did any of you ever play the sci-fi MMORPG Defiance that also came with a TV show where they were going to intermix the TV show story and the game story? That was like the big, I don't want to say hotness because it kind of landed with a wet thud. But that was, you know, that was their gimmick, their shtick for what they were going to do. And it was a third-person shooter. And I remember, like, one of the enemies were the 49ers or something. They were like a mining company. Fucking weird shit. I think so, but I don't know if that a. Yeah, I played it because I specifically went and did all the challenges to get the Charger, right? So I had the beautiful Charger, the Dodge Charger I was driving around in. But yeah. I know it's coming back, but I don't know, is that an official comeback or is that a fan project like Return of Reckoning and Dawn of Reckoning are for Warhammer Online? I'd have to assume it's a fan project, right? NDA, freeze! I know, there's, what they say, the ADF? It's like, ooh. NDA, freeze! I'm going to tell you right now, while the NDA are a not bureaucratic hell, but an obfuscation hell for research purposes and everything, they aren't incompetent. If their target starts pulling out a firearm, they just light them up. They're like, okay, well, fuck it. You chose violence. Firefall, oh my god. People don't understand. Firefall went through so many iterations of itself. Like, if you played Firefall when it first came out into its testing phase, versus 2 months later, versus 2 months later, versus 2 months later, they just kept retooling the entire game over and over and over again. And there was a period in there that I really liked. There was a part of it that I liked that was in there somewhere. And I can't remember the exact, like, mega patch block it was. But there was a part in there I actually liked. I can't remember what the scout class was, but I was the sniper. I was the sniper main. Yeah, it was, you know, I have, oh, Recon, it was Recon, I'm pretty sure if I look at my Steam achievements, they actually still have the, thing for it. Yep, Recon Specialist, there it is. Yeah, all of these are super fucking rare. Recon Specialist is 0.2% of players have this achievement. Whew. Just whew. Yeah, Firefall was wild. It was like, what's that? On Sin? Some kind of weather event. Oh my god. And it was always the same message every single time. Even though you were farming tornadoes, every single time you'd go for the tornadoes. What's that? On Sin? Some kind of weather event. Grim. Oh, that's why it's so rough. Hold on. That's why it's so rough. Okay, that makes sense. This makes sense. Hold on. Did that change? Yes, it did. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I started ignoring it because it was HUD elements, and then I realized, like, I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute, I see the moon runes. It's like, oh, that's why it's so rough. Right. I'm going to say a lot of it was AI generated. Oh. So watch. We're here. Get his head bit off. Boom. I see it. I see it now. How fucking weird. Okay, you know what? I will put a pin in this and say, if they then show it in, like, German, then I'll be like, okay, fine, you're just showing you have different languages, right? Otherwise, for a trailer, why would you not keep it all in the same language? Right? Why would you not keep it all in the same language? No, yeah, I think this is Korean. Because I'm pretty sure Korean does the box thing, right? Where everything is kind of a box. Like, I mean, if you look at this. Like, this is a square, this is a square, this is a square, square. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that is accurate. The trailer hurts me. The trailer hurts me on a weirdly cringe level. Again, and now what? We're just getting intermixed English, right? And I have to assume Korean, because again, they're all boxes, and then they have a lot of the circle stuff, and Korea loves circles. Also, Unreal Engine. R/shitty technicals? Yeah. No. What am I doing? Okay. I missed the reveal trailer for third-person action-adventure game developed by... No, you go away. You go away right now. Well, look, if this is a Korean MMO, prepare for a grind. Oh, absolutely. Korean grinders are infamous. Oh, infamous in the MMO sphere for good reason. Okay. I don't know what that said. Ooh. Okay, two things. One, I made a horrible joke. Woman moment. That'll be him quiet. But two, that animation was rough. That animation was so fucking rough. Okay. Very strange creature, but the creature doesn't feel like he's in the world. And I'll explain why when he hits the ground. You see what I mean? You see there's kind of like a floatiness to it. Like it's not connected. Oh, the Divine Comedy. Oh, okay. Oh my god! By the way, remember, in-game footage. At least they're not doing in-engine. But in-game footage, this is definitely not going to be what gameplay's like. Ugh. No. I'm sorry. No. Your trailer did its job and convinced me do not. No, it did not look okay. That looked really bad. That looked really bad. Oh man, and all of it in one fight there. That was, the animation quality was that poor and everything. Oh god. Oh lord. I never played the first Moonlighter, so you know, it is what it is. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's latest DLC. Do not give a shit. I immediately thought of Wilson. Island Getaway, a tropical-themed DLC for the life simulation game developed by Enzio Studio. Players can life the high life. What? You can't spell ignorant without IGN. God, he's so edgy. So it's The Sims? They're so weird. They're so weird. I mean, definitely, if it's like The Sims, okay, fine. But it's very weird, like, going on here. No, because I didn't give a shit about Lords of the Fallen. The first Lords of the Fallen was terrible. Second one I've heard, they're like, oh, they fixed all the problems. And everyone's like, no, they didn't. Korean AI Sims? Yeah. What? Like, what is this? This is first off Wilson. But second off, like, what the fuck? Like, look at the angry twitchy face. Look at the angry twitchy face. What the shit is going on? That's a dude that's a second from snapping. It's this little, he's like he's trying to bare his teeth. Looks like the dude from Hunt Down the Freeman, unironically put a few more scars on it, right? From the crowbar. You fucked up my face. saying? What in the fuck? You said it's a sequel, right? Or is it DLC? Tropical themed DLC. No, yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. Definitely not. Absolutely not. That's not happening. I wasn't really saying much other than like, what the fuck? Like watching those facial animations. That's some Skinwalker. It absolutely looks AI generated. That's some Skinwalker faces right there, if I've ever seen them. This shit right here is him. Not only the little, like, weird thing, but this. This is a fucking Skinwalker. This is what a non-human thinks humans look like. I want you to try to make that face, chat. I want you to try. Make this face. Okay? Remember, full teeth. You need to have your upper lip all the way up so all your teeth are exposed. Full teeth. Like, what the fuck? This is AI generated. This has to be AI generated. This is fucking creepy. Ninja Gaiden 4. Oh my god. I used to play the Ninja Gaiden series. Especially Ninja Gaiden Black is what really got me into it. I never played the old SNES games. They were too hard and frustrating for my young mind. Oh, well, I mean, I guess we'll watch that in a second.
Since ancient times, the Hayabusa and Raven ninja clans have fought to keep peace, with the Hayabusa clan in the spotlight. But your clan, the Raven clan, has always had a secret motive.
Okay, so we're following a different clan, it seems. Interesting.
Thanks. I owe you one, Hayabusa.
Expect heavy resistance from the BDO. We're all counting on you, Yakumo.
Oh, the speed's still there. Holy shit.
Yakumo, just focus on the hostiles for now.
Understood. Stop this madness. Stay away from the Dark Dragon Seal. Go back home to your little raven nest. Or die here.
If you truly think you have what it takes to slay the Dark Dragon, prove it.
The very
Okay.
fiend that resurrected the Dark Dragon
The Hayabusa clan makes excellent motorcycles. Incorrect.
years ago. Even a mortal such as yourself has heard of me. I'm sure. Die, insect.
Please, don't kill him. The whole world's at stake.
Could be interesting. Could be interesting. Not pre-ordering it, though. Nope. Outer Worlds 2. New Companions trailer. I'll pass, especially after Avowed and everything. Obsidian is dead. Obsidian's dead, and Microsoft killed it. Chronos, The New Dawn. Don't I have? Why does that sound so familiar? Hold on. Oh, it's I have Osiris, the new dawn. Like, why does that sound so familiar? Okay. Weird. All right. A new breed of horror. Shit. I saw it. No, I'm not. I'm Wee Widow Baby. Yes. Go. Obsidian, you made good games. Yeah. Yeah. Caddy. Or caddies.
Are you glad to see me, friend?
Meow. You know what this music sounds like? Have you ever played Alone in the Dark? The remake, or sorry, what is it called? The reboot, right? Where it was not great, but had really impressive fire physics. It sounds like that. It sounds like the music sounds like that to me. Now it sounds weirdly, I didn't sound like Alone in the Dark. Now it sounds more like Atomic Hearts.
Stay calm.
Stay calm. The helmet vent, though. I think it could be interesting. Look at Silent Hill F.
Cargo Choke 1 to HQ. We haven't found the suspect at the scene. Shit's so good, but it's still in the...
Hey, Baron.
You better consider the hunt. Over. Last seen fleeing Tsuneyoshi Shrine. Exercise extreme caution.
You saved my life and laid claim to my soul. In turn, I shall save your souls by claiming the life of your own self.
Oh, I'm already kind of disappointed that we're not in Silent Hill. You know what I mean? Unless Silent Hill miraculously had like a little Chinatown attached to it or something. Or you know what I mean? Like a little Tokyo or something. Seen the trailer for Fallout Season 2? No, I have not, and I'm not. Definitely don't want to watch it.
What's that? What is this place?
So it's more like, what is it, Fatal Frame.
This way.
We better get going.
Okay, there's nothing in this that says Silent Hill.
A good day is always an extraordinary day. An extraordinary day is an always good day. With that in mind, today's a bit too extraordinary.
So this is where you are. I wondered where you had gone. You need to start getting ready. It's time to say your goodbyes. You're going to kill them with your own hands.
What's going on? No. It's got my home too. The halls, the doors, everything's changed.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's mostly what I expect. I expect this was an entirely different project, and then they slapped Silent Hill on top of it. Right? That's what it feels like thus far. Like, what the hell does this have to do with Silent Hill?
Tell me, who are you? Please. Just die.
It must be hard for you to bid farewell to childhood friends.
Yes.
Hmm?
No. It had to be done. As soon as I could.
Fox Demons. Again, this has nothing to do with Silent Hill. This has nothing to do with Silent Hill at all. What the fuck is this? Neo Bards Entertainment. Who the fuck are Neo Bards? Yeah, this is definitely we slapped the name on it for brand recognition, right? Had nothing to do with Silent Hill. Delta Force console release. Blech. Fortnite. Again, I expected to do more work on the book, but then it was all this. A world that has outlawed music. Morbidly curious. Morbidly curious. The point behind Silent Hill, the town is very important. The town in and of itself is a living entity. That's why they're specifically called Silent Hill. The town is literally part of the thing. The town itself is a living, breathing thing. And it's what the cult was tapping into. It already being off in Japan. No. Just no. And then it doesn't have like it seems like it's just something that was a different brand entirely. And then they just slapped the name Silent Hill on it. Time Takers? Dufik? Maybe they don't want to touch it, but having a Japanese internment camp near Silent Hill is a stretch, but possible. And that has a lot of interesting possibilities. That could actually work. Unironically, that could work and be pretty good to show the darkness of everything, right? Not a fever dream, but a team shooter with a medieval knight, neon colors, and a chimpanzee. What? Is this supposed to be a LOL random game? Hold on. Morbidly curious.
I floated in an alien-induced stupor. A ghost of my former glory. Until one day when I was stabbed.
Nobody knows how armor works. Ever.
I thought I died. Instead, I was given a second chance in a strange world, alongside rogues from across the timescape.
Is this just a knockoff Overwatch? Like...
And we were promised to fix our past. I guess that's what we're here to do.
There was a banana grenade, because it was the monkey, get it? With a banana grenade. Hold. The fuck? Was that dude? Yeah, so it was infinitely more generic than I thought it would be. Infinitely more generic. Darkest Files. The Darkest Files. Available now on Steam and coming in Nintendo Switch. Yeah, whatever. Neverness to Everness. Neverness to Everness? We're getting more Skinwalker games. All right. I'm curious. It's only 58 seconds. Let's do it. Oh, hang on. Is it another gotcha? Wait a minute. It's an anime racing game. Oh, no. Oh no. Wait, where is it? Wait. Huh? What? No. No, I'm just gonna... So, it's a gotcha. For sure. It's a gotcha for sure. And the reason I say that is because of what it said right there. Hold on. Yeah, it's a gotcha game. 1,000%. Granted, they make more money than God, so, you know, I'm not surprised. No, it's not even a Need for Speed game. I thought it was an anime racing game at first. And then I was like, then it's all the comments. Like, oh, it's just a straight up gotcha. So ZZZ meets Cars. But not with the hot wolf in it though. They're missing out on a huge market. Where's the hot wolves? Her look at Death by Scrolling. These can usually get interesting. Monkey Island Maniac Mansion fame, where the aim is to survive purgatory long enough to amass enough gold to pay the ferryman to get you out of there. Okay. Let's see this one. This is the least of your problems. Ah. Literally a death by scrolling. Oh, shit. All equally doomed. Run, fight, loot, and don't stop. Because that's where he's waiting. Oh my god. Death, please. Yeah, so it's a roguelite. Alright. Hey, the ferryman. Easy, right? Microprose and Ron Gilbert. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, that looks interesting. I'll check out Death by Scrolling. Zero Parades reveal trailer. Tactical CRPG. Where truth can be stranger than fiction. Get a glimpse. Okay. Spy CRPG. I'm interested. Sorry, please start again.
I once knew a spy. Brilliant, relentless, magnetic. Her name was Herschel. Dark gold hair, a well-worn life beneath. A dandelion puff, waiting to be blown. She tried to look out for me. For us. None of it mattered in the end. Everything she touched rippled into failure.
Your friends are you, each a separate limb of the whole. What? Zero parades for fake radicals. What? Interesting concept. I need to see more. All Night Silk Song. Wow, people weren't kidding about Bubsy 4D. Holy shit. I thought they were joking. I thought it was but a japes. It was not, in fact. It was real. Similar to Disco Elysium, it does.
Yo! Remember me? Your old pal Bubsy? From all those classic games you loved.
Was it something I said? What could possibly go wrong?
Forget about that. Let's talk about the new one. Bubsy 4D!
Please tell me they're going to release... Like, how long ago was Bubsy? How long ago was Bubsy? Because they have the potential to do something incredibly funny. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, it's 1993. Never mind. Never mind. They're nowhere near close enough. Shame they didn't just rebrand it as like third D, right? Because then they could have made a joke if they released it in 2023 for the 30th anniversary. Man, I didn't realize that Bubsy, the first one, was that, like, late. 1993? Man. Man. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, but I was thinking of it like being Bubsy 40. Get it? 40 for 40th anniversary. I was like, oh, that would have been cute. That would have been cute. Cute.
This I like. So, where are we going next? Don't mind if I do. Zoink!
Please hold.
Don't mind if I do.
Really? Fucking really? Ugh. They got the poop bow.
Zoink!
Of course they got the
Wonder
feces
if
bow
that's
in
more
there.
moves than that Italian plumber has. Ooh!
Because they were animals. That's what their excuse was. They didn't need pants.
Can anyone explain to me why I turn into a hairball now? They call me the Orange Blur. Do any of these outfits come with pants? You know I've only got one brain cell, right? And it's working overtime on this baby.
That was weird. Hold on, wait, what was that one? What is that at the end? Look at this creature. La creatura. Look at it. What the fuck is this? Why does it look like a Minecraft villager on its groin? What?
Atari? I didn't even know they were still around.
Battlestar Galactica. This could be interesting. Outlaws? Oh, it's not that Outlaws. Okay. Why does it have an anvil on its crotch? I said it looked like a Minecraft villager on its crotch. Huh. Cylons won. Survivors took to the stars. Sorry that I keep bringing up the bar thing. They're looking for Earth! Ooh. Interested. Absolutely interested. Make tough choices of who to abandon. Okay. I like it. It reminds me of the whole thing, but the city must survive, right? What do you give up for survival? So he's remastering the 1997 LucasArts classic Outlaws. This one was great. It had, what was his name? He played the evil, like, preacher dude. And I remember he, you hang him in a, I'm pretty sure you hang him in a mine. We're going through the trailers right now, Baron. Oh. though, please hold. Apparently, my stomach says we're not going to go through the trailers, but I want to see this. I want to see this because Outlaws was a very interesting game. Very tough game, but very interesting game. Yeah, I will be right back. Mercy. I beg for mercy. Alright. This was an old classic. This is a... old classic. They had a really good cast of people that were playing. I wonder if they're going to use the same old voice stuff? Or if they're going to re-record it with new people, right? Let's find out. LucasArts.
You afraid of dying, kid? Keep that fear.
Sarah.
Holy shit.
Come away from the window, honey.
Good afternoon. Is the marshal in?
That was always the creepiest thing. That was always the creepiest thing about it, the doctor. Hold on, look at him. Look how many teeth he has. Just look carefully about how many teeth he has. Again, he's a fucking smiler. Unironically, he's a smiler. Holy shit.
Is the marshal in?
No! Anna! You ain't a farmer, James. Your father weren't a farmer, and you ain't either.
A man can get too ambitious, wouldn't you say?
Right, but you never shot an innocent man.
I never met an innocent man.
Damn, there it is.
If I tell you where she is, will you let me go?
That depends.
Hey, sorry. I was too excited. And with updated features, okay. They're intentionally missing. Did you notice that they're intentionally not shooting them? Very strange.
I see a gleaming city rising. A city that has a fine name on it.
Very, very strange. That they're like going out of their way not to hit anybody in the trailer.
It's gonna take more than bullets to get what you want, mister. Once a lawman, always a lawman.
See what I mean? Wait, pay attention carefully. They, throughout this entire thing, they were going out of their way to make sure they didn't hit a single enemy.
Marshalling?
No! Anna! You ain't a farmer, James. Your father weren't a farmer, and you ain't either.
A man can get too ambitious, wouldn't you say?
Right, but you never shot an innocent man.
I never met an innocent man.
Look, see, he was about to shoot him, and then he realized he's not supposed to, so he aimed off.
If I tell you where she is, will you let me go?
You see?
That depends.
Very strange. Look, he keeps out going over him to shoot him like a normal person would, and then they make sure they don't. Very weird. Probably illegal to depict death now. Oh, God, wouldn't surprise me. It's very...
I see a gleaming city
very strange.
A city that has a fine name on it.
It's gonna take more than bullets to get what you want, mister. Once a lawman, always a lawman.
Very strange. Very, very strange. Yeah, very obvious. Probably censorship. It might be. It's fucking very strange. Iron Pearl of Destruction announced. So, a side-scroller, looks like. Arcade controls. Yep, beat 'em up. Okay. Yeah. Another beat 'em up. New Chinese myth third-person action RPG adventure game developed by Aragon Shanghai. A world enforcer who's been reborn to take his onslaught to the mortal realm. Sounds interesting. Is it going to be as AI generated as the other ones? Cool frog. Again, it was them intentionally doing it. They were intentionally playing poorly. It's very strange for a trailer. Very strange.
Millions of souls pour into the underworld every day. You're no different. My lord, he's here.
I bid you walk the mortal world once more.
Okay.
Fallen leaves return to their roots. You shall gather the souls that stray.
I've watched over this city for ages, and every name in your scroll of death. Not one of them dies quietly. You, a soulless husk. You can judge my fate. Why wrestle rogues when their artifacts can do what brute strength cannot?
So it's just a Black Myth Wukong style game, but you know, a different, obviously not Black Myth Wukong, right? It's not Journey to the West.
What? The soulless husk?
Okay, that's actually kind of neat. Hold on, did you see what that was, actually? Don't pay attention to the dragon, right? Don't pay attention to the dragon itself. Look. It's an actual festival. It's an actual festival dragon that's being piloted by the people. That's actually a really cool animation, right?
The living cast their dead to flame, and sacrifice ignites the war banners!
Here we go again.
It's really fucking cool. Hey, Chinese lady, wanna have a baby with me?
If you know not life, how can you know death?
Again, interesting. Again, the animation quality looks really fucking nice. I'll say that. Holy shit, I will say that the animation quality looks pretty fucking nice. We'll have to scroll all the way back to the very top of the page to get to the black. I want to see the new Black Myth one because they've got the sequel up there. Hey, Chinese dragon, do you want to be my pet as well? A Valor Mortis. Valor Mortis. Fairly standard trailer. Napoleonic Wars quickly reveal itself to be a new action title, Valor Mortis. Soldier brought back from death on the battlefield to take on twisted monsters. Okay, interesting. the green were the Jaegers, right? I'm pretty sure the green and reds were the Prussian Jaegers. Okay. Guys in green, they're Russians? Okay, fair enough. Maybe green was that common. Oh, fuck! Didn't mean to do that. Sorry. I'm interested. That looks interesting. Yeah, no, that looks interesting. Well, no, I knew the blue ones were French, right? Because you had the blues versus the reds. Like, that's where that comes from. Was the French army, which was the greatest on land, and then the British army were the sea power. It was the red coats versus the blue coats. He was kind of racist. Let the monster live in peace. I think we're a French soldier. Look at the thing. Look at his uniform. I think it's about trying to battle the monsters within. Man, let me see if I can find a thing. Why? I'll show you why I thought it might have been the Prussian Jaegers. Hold on. Let me find a ting. Find a ting, and I'll show the ting. I guess that I should have paid attention to the hat. Here we go. Yeah, it's fucking not great to see, but say Prussian Jaegers, the greens and reds. That's why I thought it might be the Prussian Jaegers. But no, the hat's pretty fucking, that's a pretty big giveaway. That's a pretty big giveaway. Let's go back. Right. Yeah, no, they're not. Maybe the guy in the tower that shoots him the first time? Nope. Alright, well, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Right there. That's the Tsarist eagle. PVKK is a new point of view on war. British accents, and a compelling shot of a dashboard that seems to control a very, very big defense cannon. That was not a typo. The seizure at the keyboard is PVKK Planet Verteidigungskanon Kommandant. So what? Planetary Defense Cannon Commander? Or command? No, commandant would be commander, right? Yeah, so planetary defense cannon commander? I mean, they say British accents. Is this going to be like hilariously funny? What's going to be obviously German?
Product not yet rated.
Product not yet rated.
Good morning, Commander.
Oh, no.
I hope you've settled in all right and are well rested. The cooperative state has honored me with the supervision of your well-being. Get you back up to speed before our lives are on the line.
Ooh. Nice.
See, you've not lost your touch. Multiple separatist vessels approach. They wish to eliminate this facility. Destroy them before they do.
Be sure to drink your health-giving tea and enjoy it.
Yeah, so very, very papers, please. Got it.
The days fly by when you love what you do.
Very, very papers, please. 100%. Okay. Yeah, no, I'd definitely do that. I'm going to get that. Let's do that right now. PVKK. PVKK. Add to your wish list. Okay. Right. Alright, routine. Survival horror game. Okay, let's see. Routine. Looks pretty. Kind of reminds me of Alien Isolation a little bit, right? Again, it looks really fucking pretty. They only show up on camera. Could be interesting. I mean, a big old scaredy cat. Could be interesting. Oh, fucking Call of Duty. Lords of the Fallen 2, who cares? Dark Knight, Upcoming next generation truck driving simulation game. Dawn of War 4, eh? How much of a disaster is this going to be? Is it going to be like Dawn of War 3 all over again? A total fucking clown show? Boop.
Peggy 18. We have fought the enemies of humanity across...
I'm sorry, can you speak up, gravelly voice? Can you speak up, gravelly voice? Hold on, try that again.
Peggy 18. We have fought the enemies of humanity across 1,000 worlds. No respite, no remorse, no mercy. We are the wrath of the Emperor, his angels of death. But the Imperium lies broken, its armies scattered and reeling. Our foes rise to drag us down, and the galaxy has been torn asunder. On the world of Cronus, we make our stand.
Back on Cronus again?
We are the Blood Ravens. There is no victory to claim here. Only vengeance to enact. Whilst even one of us lives, we fight. For only in death does duty end.
Name! The other one's better. Even in death, I still serve. Oh! Thank God it said work in progress, not final quality, because oh no, look like a mobile game. Oh my God, Anti-Boy's got me. We're on the same fucking page. We're on the same page. Please, please, thank God it said not final quality, because oh my God, no. No. Oh, sync kills are in. That's good. So it's just gonna be the 4 of them? Orcs, Admech, Necrons, and Space Marines? That's it? Yeah, I hope there's gonna be a lot more. I've never been a fan of Onimusha. Just not my game. Right? Don't give a shit. Wait, so they're actually trying to rebrand fully? Hold on. We saw World of Tanks, like, not cross-out version. Let's see what World of Tanks 2.0 is. Oh my God. Is it just going to be a trailer thing? I want to see what the actual game looks like. French autoloaders, baby. The French were the line I grinded all the way up to tier 10. Which you should never play tier 10, by the way. Do you know why? Okay, chat, can you understand? Can you guess why you should never play tier 10? Now with vision, yeah. Can you guess what the obvious reason why you should never play tier 10? No, nothing to do with cast or anything. Remember, this is World of Tanks. This is World of Tanks. Cass is its own cancer thing. That's why I'm looking forward to Steel Aces, because it won't have any fucking Cass. Thank God. Pay to win times 10. No. No. You should always play tier 9. Again, there's a logical reason behind this. Yeah, no, they trust me. The napkin tanks and secret Soviet documents coming that they put in is just wild. The nonsensical bullshit that's in World of Tanks is just ugh. The reason why you never play tier 10 in World of Tanks is tier 9 is always better. Always. Because tier 10, the lowest you can fight are tier 8s. Sure, you're the top dog, but you can only fight down to tier 8. Tier 9, you can fight down to tier 7. And tier 7 really has no hope of dealing with you at tier 9 because you're a tier 9 that's built to fight tier 10s. Always play tier 9 instead. Way better experience. Way better experience. And again, you're not that much worse than a tier 10 because as a tier 9, you have to be able to fight tier 10s constantly. So you just have a higher chance of getting those tier 7 games where you are the fucking Terminator. Especially if you're the French heavy line. Holy shit. Holy shit. Haul down monsters. The fact there's an entire line of hypothetical OI tanks other than just the one giant clown tank they considered. Yep. Are we going to get some actual gameplay? Okay, is there going to be some actual gameplay in this at some point? No, of course not. Why would there be? Daemon Ex Machina, Titanic Scion reveals demo launch trailer. World Mech Shooter developed by Seed. Open world, eh? Oh. Excuse me? Excuse me? Well, now I'm really fucking curious to get past this one. Hold on. Open world mech shooter. Let's go. No, you know what the tier... Hang on, wait. If you've never seen it before. I need to show you. The tier 9 monstrosity in World of Tanks. Where is it? Okay, here. France. Which one is it? I need to get the correct one. Ah, here we go. This monstrosity right here. So this thing, huge main gun, right? This thing's a beast. Bastard, bitch, shit, fuck. The AMX M4 MLE 51, right? This thing is a monster of a tank. Put the 127 on. One of the turrets was a scam. Should be this one, though. This is the better one. Yeah. Fully kit us out. Everything, right? Right. Now, you have this monstrosity, right? This is it on flat ground, okay? This is it on flat ground. Even its fucking cupola. Even its fucking cupola. Right? The moment it goes hull down or it hill fights you because this thing's fucking turret. Right? Here's it hill fighting you. Good luck! Good fucking luck. Good luck. This is what you see. This thing is an absolute fucking monstrosity on the battlefield. And again, this if you just go hull down, right? If you come here, even if you show your hull a little bit, look at the effective armor. Look at that. Again, this thing is a monster. This is a hill fighting monster. Alright? It's fucking devastating. I loved the shit out of this tank. This tank was so much fun to play. Holy shit. Holy shit, was this tank fun. Pew, pew. Alright. Back to what we're doing. Again, I planned on doing the book today, but there's a lot of Gamescom. There's a lot more Gamescom stuff than I thought. A lot of it is crap, but, you know, there's some gems in here.
One other matter.
The Alpha.
She was found.
This will truly be the birth of a new world. A world where we are the one and only human race!
I'm afraid your friends
What?
came far too late.
I see the years haven't been kind.
I know about the Alpha. Why is she here?
It's an experience, that's for sure.
Damned outers.
You tore my heart out when you took him from me. Now it's your turn to suffer.
Stay alert now. Hand over the Alpha and let us end this war.
Oh, Mother. Thank you.
Wait, is he just laughing but his mouth isn't moving or anything? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Hang on, can we do a laugh like that? Fuck. It's hard to do that without wanting to move your mouth. And it sounds muffled. Right. Anyways. Fucking tease! Where is it? Where is it? I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not doing my teeth together, right? I'm just letting it rest just slightly on my lower lip. A Sekiro anime is made with AI, apparently. There's an anime for it? Oh, it's Crunchyroll. Ew. That's what this is. Okay. I want to see the trailer. Sorry, I was too excited for the trailer. Right, now I said all the way to the top so we can watch this one, the big one. Zongque. Very, very interested. I loved Black Myth Wukong. It actually managed to pull off a trailer fight, right? An actual anime fight. That ending fight is so fucking good. I remember Calbeck was here watching when we did the final battle, the final fight. Well, massive air quotes, right? Because there's the entire, like, do you do the super hard mode and do the true ending, right? But that final battle where Sun Wukong fights himself, oh my god. Genuine anime fight, like freezing you and has full-on cutscenes mid-battle that seamlessly, like from gameplay into cutscene, just seamless. No loading screens, no like fake dust up or anything. No, just perfectly buttery smooth into them and then right out of them. So fucking good. Holy shit. That final fight is so good. Alright. Let's see this one.
Brother, help me here. You ain't even trying. It's all me. Look at that belly of yours. Where's the mountain? Hey, you're falling flat, losing again.
Drop that coswallop. Master will take us back. As long as we keep that mountain in her heart.
Hey. No scolding, no flogging, life spared. Why risk going back? This place, we've got food on our table and...
Oh. Looks fucking gorgeous. I'm excited. I'm interested. Because again, Black Myth Wukong was one of those ones that like, God, the cutscenes look so pretty. Shame it's not gonna look like that in game. And then you play it and it looks like that in game. It's like, what? Oh my God! Fucking cinematic trailers that are actually exactly the way it looks in game too. Holy shit! Again, if you've never played Black Myth Wukong, highly, highly recommend it. Genuinely, unironically, recommend it. It is very good. It's difficult, to say the least. And we found a game, one hell of a game breaker of a bug where we literally got shot out of the game world. That was funny. No, highly recommend playing it. Right. Now, enough shenaniganry. So, chat, I've been doing more book work, right? Right. More book work. We actually do writing. It hasn't felt like it this week, but we actually do writing. Do. And I had an idea. I'm going to tweak my vampires a little bit. Not much. I want to keep basically everything the same, but I'm going to change one thing. So, Originally, I had said Cordysoth doesn't want them to have unity with each other, right? But then I'm like, Cordysoth also wants punishment and agony drawn out. He doesn't believe in quick. You don't just get a quick slap on the wrist. No, he wants you to suffer. If he punishes you, you're going to suffer. That's what Cordysoth wants. That's what Cordysoth believes in. So I'm going to change something. Instead of the paranoia being instantaneous, where two vampire lords or vampire nobility see each other, they fight, I'm going to change that. And instead, we're going to have it where there is a subtle paranoia that's there in the back of their mind, in their subconscious, slowly ramping up the longer they're in each other's presence. Very, very subtly. Not a quick thing, but a guaranteed poison. A guaranteed, like, violent and bloody, like, escalation maker, right? So that vampires can try to form together, but they are doomed to always devolve into infighting and bloodshed and conspiracies against each other. Because there's that paranoia in their subconscious that is slowly ratcheting up. Like, imagine turning a dial, right? But instead of going from 0 to 1 to 2, it goes from 0 to 0.1. Or, you know what I mean? Like 0.001. 0.002. Slowly ticking up to destruction. Ever so slowly marching its way forward. To guarantee the most violent and bloody of outcomes for any coalition or coterie or whatever term you want for vampires coming together. They will always be doomed to destroy themselves. That's the change we're going to make. So instead of the paranoia being there all the time and in their face when they see another noble, I want it to be a ticking clock. Or just slowly just hear that of it just ever so carefully ramping up. A subtle and insidious thing hidden within them. Because again, it's supposed to be a punishment, right? But it's Cordysoth. And Cordysoth doesn't believe in the immediacy of things. He believes in the slow monotony of punishment. You need to experience it over and over again. Remember his tale about when he granted immortality to someone because they kept begging for it over and over again. Let's pull that up, actually. So we're going to go into His Majesty the Dragon, and we're going to go to when Cordysoth talks about granting immortality. Okay. Sorry, I'm fighting with Google Documents because it's got to open up 500 fucking pages. So it just constantly was moving my cursor like, let me die. All right. Here we go. Right, so this is from the chapter Harden Your Heart. Meraxus lay gasping on the bed, yet his body did not react or move. His eyes instead darted around the room as it slowly dissolved, and a loud hammering of a forge radiated throughout the darkened space. He tried to speak, but instead desperately inhaled to try and gain air into his lungs, his body barely managing to writhe in place on the bed. Out of the darkness, a figure began to loom over him, the hammering of the forge steadily changing to match the king's heart rate, rapid and quick before eventually slowing and becoming steady, which signified his breathing becoming more stable and his movements less frantic. You naive fool. The voice was familiar to him, but took on a far deeper resonance and seemed to reverberate within the darkened space. What is your life worth compared to those 5 corpses, Meraxus focused all his energy and managed to turn his head towards the figure. It was decidedly not like the Cortisoth he knew, and instead looked far more menacing, with blazing purple eyes and more jagged horns. This is when the curse is basically like when Cortisoth's temper flares and the curse it comes out to the surface. I didn't want to lose any. Is your life and desire so meaningless to you? What would have happened, little Meraxus, if you were now dead instead of slipping into a coma? So he had damaged himself as badly as he feared, and now was helpless, especially to his kingdom. I didn't. Would you rather have traded your life for 5 small ones? Did you not know that you were giving each of them slivers of your own life force? You are ageless, not immortal. In the game, that is exactly the problem, you fool. Lost Frontiers was a game, and as such I had to make certain accommodations, certain quality of life features to ensure a sizable enough sample could be collected. Meraxus knew that, deep down. Yet he wanted to prove himself in this moment, and more than that, he didn't want to let his subjects down. Yet he had to admit that Cortisoth was correct in his assessment of the situation. You were exceptionally lucky. I realized what you were trying and helped set a rhythm for you. After the first one, you should have listened to Dagrix and just stopped. If you had died, your kingdom and people would not be able to stand against what is coming. Not only that, but trying to do such extreme spells when you don't even fully understand magic is the height of hubris. Meraxus still didn't speak, though he was formulating some questions to ask as he let Cortisoth vent his frustrations and criticisms towards him. You won't win You won't win every time, little Meraxus. You are against many gods in this world, and I can only assist you to a small extent. Was it arrogance that made you try and show off in front of the other Dracoran? I didn't want to let my subjects down. Ah, compassion. Companion of stupidity in many of life's morbid children's tales and fables. Cortisoth raised his hand to his face and lightly covered his eyes while he thought to himself. He then had a moment of realization and looked at his hand more closely and growled angrily, quickly shaking his hand and then grabbing at his head and pressing his hands together as if to crush his own skull. I dreamed a dream. I looked into the sky. He struggled a few times and began to steady his breathing as he started changing back to what Meraxus had seen him as before. He then glared at Meraxus and gave a furrow of his brow. I'm glad I noticed my wrathful side was taking hold. Would have been tragic to have you slain by my hand when I went through the effort to reprimand you. So are you willing to have a conversation? Meraxus stared directly at Cortisoth, who in turn glared at him before he let out a hearty laugh. It seems you already understand what you did wrong, correct? I know I made a mistake. Just wanted to explain why I made that mistake. Don't let compassion rule you. Not everyone can be saved, and it is hubris to even try. You are a dragon now. You are ageless, and will have to see the vast majority of your subjects die, be it sickness, war, or just the march of time. I know. I just didn't want to feel that so soon. Harden your heart, Meraxus. You will drive yourself insane if you let the pain of loss from everyone well up inside of you. I understand. I really do, but I did not have the luxury of years and years of preparing for this role. Cortisoth let out a sigh and then nodded his head as he leaned against one of the bedposts. This is fair. I just want to ease your burden now before it is too late. I appreciate that. Though I do have some other questions and observations if you wish to indulge me. The god did not answer, and instead nodded his head towards the bed-ridden Dragon King. The spinning top clued me into something. Is there a 9th magic type? Cortisoth smiled and nodded his head. All 8 magics revolve around it then. That's Meraxis. All 8 magics revolve around it then, or more accurately, are connected to it. I also had to think and realize that I don't recall any non-dragon using contradictory magics. The smile grew wider on the dragon god's face as he waited for Meraxis to continue his reasoning. So, this 9th magic is something only dragons can use. Is it inherent to dragons? Correct. The 9th, as you call it, is indeed dragon magics. You've even experienced them yourself without realizing, both in utilizing contradictory magics and in shaping other magics, such as your bird song being a little dragon instead of typical birds. There are more magics, aren't there? Hence why the spinning top was important. That smile remained plastered on the dragon god's face before he spoke. There are. Dragons are the central spire of magic, and the spinning top was your choice because there is magic above and a magic below. This is divine magic and demonic magic, isn't it? What makes you believe that? As I said, the spinning top, and also that dragons can directly hurt and kill gods. That is why they are so terrified. So we can touch and by extension use their magics. A bit of a stretch from being able to kill to being able to use. But I will say you are mostly correct. Dragons are the catalyst of all magics. Gods, while having their own innate abilities, still rely heavily on a form of magic. Think of it as if you were someone that could snap your fingers and a flame would appear on your thumb. Interesting, sure. But is it more convenient than just having a lighter, or in case of a light source, a flashlight? The gods can use abilities that are innate to their godhood, but they are more difficult and less efficient than just using divine magic would be. Oh, take care, Rapar. I see. So it's that they have become complacent and wanted to use it. Correct. Meraxis tried to raise his hand to rub at his snout, but couldn't, and instead shifted a little in the bed. So is there no way to use resurrection without giving your life force? There is none. Yet I am a dragon, and as you said, ageless. So I have an infinite life force. You do not. You, in fact, almost used your entire life force in one go. Time will not slay you, but damage will. There are only 2 immortals I am aware of, and that would be myself and the Supreme Being. That would certainly be of benefit. Cortisoth's facial expression immediately turned dour as he furrowed his brow and glared at the Dragon King. Oh, you think so? Let me tell you a little tale of someone else who thought much the same. Meraxis tried his best to lean away from Cortisoth and the growing irritation that was more obvious as time went on. There once was a Hagen, human man. He boasted about how immortality was the greatest of all abilities. So I offered to give him immortality for a week, and he agreed. I tied my life force to him. Yet what he was not aware of was that I set into motion obstacles for him, by guiding different pieces to different places. The first was a boisterous, upstart nobleman who was quick to anger and even quicker to draw his sword. The man taunted and poked fun at this nobleman, It became a surprise when his head came clean from his body and rolled down the side of an embankment. Meraxus listened carefully to the story, but he was rapidly putting together the problems. His thunderous thick head rolled to a stop near a nest of insects. These wasted little time in gathering around, peeling his flesh and laying eggs in any cradle they could find, all while the man was still aware and could feel everything. He regrew his body, naked and half dragged into the nest itself. He was digging out parts of his skin to feel clean for the rest of the day. Yet in his haste, the smell of blood attracted wild animals. He was ripped apart, guts hanging out as he managed to limp his way to a safe spot. He just barely avoided the fate of being aware while you are digested, unable to die. The Dragon King tensed up as Cortisoth's voice got more agitated and his grip on the bed frame tightened enough to actually give an audible cracking sound. Lucky little shit. Yet he wasn't so lucky when the village mistook him for a monster and eventually burned him at the stake. Every second unable to black out or die as the very fat in his body started to act as fuel for the flames. When he crawled out of the ash on the dawn of the second day, he realized the height of his hubris. He begged me for release, to break the contract and allow him to die. All that arrogance completely subsumed by desperation. But I was not satisfied he had learned his lesson. He hadn't learned the true horror of what being immortal truly is. Being digested while aware, being sealed into a wall or floor. He ran from the village and spent the next day refusing to eat and climbed atop a large rock, a steep cliff where he prayed fervently for forgiveness. My wrath had subsided enough, and thus I came to him. I lifted the link between us. He then started to laugh maniacally, thanking me before he dove off the rock head first to his death. I understand, Cortisoth. You don't need to chastise me. I didn't think beyond the immediate benefit, especially when it came to resurrection. He could see that the dragon god was starting to calm down and let out a long sigh, one that he could feel carried a heavy weight. It was shown to me from such an encounter that asking for immortality is what draws my wrath to the surface. Much like people asking the Supreme One for all knowledge. At any rate, you're already suffering the consequences of your bleeding heart. What do you mean? Something besides the coma? Your kingdom is about to come under crisis. The other kingdoms are on the move, and your people will not have their king to aid them. What? I need to wake up now! It isn't for me or yourself to decide. Your coma will end whenever your body and mind realize it should. Maybe an hour, a day, a month, a year. Meraxus tried his hardest to stand up from the bed, unable to do more than shift his head a little, as he realized his body here represented the same as his body in Dragon's Reach. No. Don't even start. You can't bargain your way out of this. You have to accept the consequences of your actions. You must trust in your people for now. You are already ahead of the curve when it comes to ascending. Your people genuinely care, and some even worship you already. Meraxus did his best to relax at those words. He knew Dagrix and the others were strong and competent, yet he still had the fear of failing his people. Technically he had. In pursuing his heart, he was now unable to aid them in their hour of need. That's the first part of the chapter. There you go. Bit more of it. Get a bit more into Cortisoth, Meraxus' mentality, his intelligence in putting things together, his capabilities on doing so. And why immortality might actually suck really, really bad. Immortality may in fact not be like all it's cracked up to be. There might be a Best Buy date that's slapped on there pretty fucking hard. And again, Cortisoth wanting to have the man suffer longer and longer. And it was only after the guy was like fully broken. Cortisoth wanted him to suffer the worst fate, which Cortisoth himself had already experienced, where being eaten alive. Like, actually eaten alive. And that was his like horrible fucking experience, and what kind of cemented for him. Like, all the rest of the stuff sucked, but that was the one that absolutely, like... he absolutely did not. That was the thing that broke him, right? Getting sealed into a floor was bad. Getting sealed into a wall was bad. But it was the being eaten alive and being aware the entire process through. That's what really kind of sealed it for him. Hey, that mean more dead suck rather than immortality. I don't know what you're trying to say there, Slayer. Please elucidate me, please. And basically, Cortisoth's entire thing in his book series, the White Tower Chronicles, is there are fates worse than death. Far worse than death. And immortality is one of them. And he nor Severus can break the link. So he's stuck as an immortal forever. But that's also been his, like, his wrathful trigger, right? Like, if you want to instantaneously gain Cortisoth's wrath, you start seeking out immortality. Hence why Cortisoth's curse is on vampires. Because they tried to use a spell to make themselves immortal. And he went in and tweaked it, and it gives them a curse instead. A meticulously crafted curse, one that he didn't expect that they'd find a loophole in, but he's just like, oh, fuck. Clever little leeches. They found a loophole. Because he thought he'd cut them off from all magic, but it turns out they can still use magic if they sacrifice their... the essence that they require to live now, which is blood, right? If they sacrifice the blood, they can use blood magics. Which, again, isn't its own school of magic. It's just utilizing blood as the sacrificial element in magics. How? What? I mean, the story tells us how much dying sucks, especially when you're keep alive to fully experience it, not feel so much as an immortality suck statement. Rather, dead suck way much more than you can experience normally. You only experience that because you are immortal. That's the entire point. That's why it's an immortality sucks moment. How do you not... How does that not come across? You only experience that because you're immortal. You cannot die. That's why you experience it. If the man wasn't immortal, his head would have just been taken off and he would have died then and there. And he wouldn't have experienced any of that. It would have just been a quick end and he would be in the afterlife. And again, that's what happens. The moment he had immortality lifted from him, he killed himself. So that he wouldn't have to reimagine, relive through all that as experiences. He just immediately ended himself. Right after immortality was lifted from him. We could always do the funny immortal, not ageless lesson. I suppose you would know what you mean by that. Immortality requires you to be humble and patient. People don't have a goal or an objective or a reason besides carnal living and pleasures, typically. In this, Cortisoth, obviously Severus is immortal. Like, he physically cannot be stopped. He is existence in and of itself. But Cortisoth gained immortality through fluke accident. Like, he wasn't seeking it out. He wasn't doing anything. It's just the curse, because it was Severus that granted him the first ascension. He had a tie to Severus. When he became curse afflicted with the curse of the Wolverine from the black wolf that bit him, because again, originally nobody thought anybody could be curse afflicted that was Dracoran or Dracmolkine. They didn't think that the Dracoran, the Dracine, or the Dracmolkine could be afflicted by the curse at all. And then he gets bit by the black wolf, the originator of the curse, and it turns out you can if you get a double dosage of it. Because the sword of Severus was taking the curse in itself. It didn't like it, and it shot it into him as well. At the same time, the black wolf's teeth were injecting it too. Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, that's a good one too. You ask for immortality, but not infinite youth. Yeah, that is a good one. That was actually a entity in Dragon Age 2, weirdly enough. It was a strange entity. It was the Black Emporium, I want to say it was, where he had immortality, but he didn't have infinite youth. So now he was like an immobile corpse thing that just couldn't die. It was laying on like a throne, thing like that. And so he's like mad when he's like talking to you and stuff. Like, welcome to the Black Emporium. Yeah. Cortisoth doesn't age or anything. Again, he was already a dragon. Well, he was a Dracine when it happened. Right, part of the White Tower Chronicles is going through the full ascension thing, going through the harrowing properly. Here, Meraxes is kind of speedrun. He's speedrun his way into the harrowing, not intentionally, mind you. But yeah, he's gonna undergo the harrowing anyways. Okay. Do we want to start with divine intervention? Okay. Maybe we'll do divine intervention. I kind of want to jump to where it becomes most obvious. Because it's kind of what triggers more of the harrowing to start. Okay. So yeah, let's do Divine Intervention. This will probably be a long one. Steeljaw kept hidden to the side as he watched the scouts to either flank of the army come traipsing through the woods. They moved cautiously and in unison to minimize their risk, yet were unaware that they were being stalked. Steeljaw took in a deep breath and gave a smirk across his wolf muzzle, for there would be bloody work to do soon. Out at the Jakor front, they had set up several lines of battle, presenting the army as far weaker and more spread out. It would be an absolutely tempting target for a commander to try and overwhelm, especially if they had such a numerical advantage. To either side of the small hill with which the Jakor made their front, there were fields of grain. Amongst the grain were dozens of mages crouched down to remain hidden, along with a few Dracoran in their bipedal form waiting to ambush the enemy. On the other side of the hill, barely concealed by crouching down themselves, were several dozen golems under the direct command of Master Vixoris. Beside these golems were dozens of earthenware fermentation jars filled with tar and kept heated on the hotbeds of coals tended carefully by Master Veridin. Dagrix was seated in a makeshift throne at the top of the hill, staying in his bipedal form to keep from giving the enemy pause. Standing before his throne was Yorman, Hadric, Galandir, Gadix, and Devric, who had each made preparations for the battle or a challenge against themselves. Again, just big fermentation jars in general, right? And we're talking about big ones. Big ones. Like the ones that are the size of a man, right? Big earthenware jars. Devric looked to Dagrix and let out a sigh. I must confess, Your Grace, that I'm feeling apprehensive of my plan. Don't let the wariness concern you. If we need to, we will adapt, but I certainly applaud the creativity of your plan. More importantly, did you make ready for a duel challenge should it come? Devric nodded his head and turned back to face towards the enemy army, which was slowly maneuvering into blocks and steadily approaching the small hill. Gadix, on the other hand, nodded his head to the archers, who began to knock their arrows and steady their nerves for when they would be called to loose. Ahead of the enemy lines came a small procession of mounted cavalry, most of them bearing banners of various designs indicating the lands and rulers that had taken part in this mustering of arms. At the sight of the enemy's colors, Dagrix nodded his head to their own bannermen, and soon they lifted up the king's banner. It was a red rectangle with a black dragon head and crown of gold suspended between black horns, with white starbursts in it to signify the stars. It was not the final design, but one of the many that their king had been toying with in his scarce free time in the world. The man at the head of the procession waved his hand at the king's banner and clearly made some disparaging remark, as the group seemed to be shaking. A good assumption would be from laughter, and the group seemed to be in higher spirits as they approached. Eventually they came to stand a fair distance from Dracor's front line and then extended a hand. Dagrix rose from the throne and then told the heroes to follow him down the hill to exchange words with the procession. The two groups faced off against each other, and eventually Dagrix and the lead from the enemy started to approach one another. Too many eaches here. Let's do one another. The man sat on horseback and yet didn't need to lower his gaze that much to stare into Dagrix's eyes. I am Count Vedric Stormwind of Lagerol, at the behest of His Majesty King Fereth Hadarin and High Priest Vedith. The Count then nodded his head towards the king's banner and then towards Dagrix. I presume you are the ruler of this kingdom? Dagrix narrowed his eyes and gave a quick shake of his head. I am not. I am Duke Dagrix of the Kingdom of Jakor, whose lands you are now trespassing in. Where is your liege, then, Duke Dagrix? He is indisposed, and thus you shall be dealing with me. Count stiffened his back and furrowed his brow in turn as he looked at the dragon before him. Too much of a coward to show himself. Dagrix instantly tensed up and raised his hand, pointing directly at the count's face. Speak ill of our king again, and I will personally disembowel you after doing the same to your entire bloodline. The dragon knew the man was speaking so arrogantly because of the clear numerical advantage at his disposal. This was all part of the plan to draw them deeper into the trap. Fortunately, Devrick was also carefully observing the situation and took note that the enemy army had a few mages as well, though to his great delight, there were far less than what Drakor had mustered. It is funny. I expected so much more of you. It seems those depictions of dragons were just the wild imaginings of the past. I'll be sure it's written on your tombstone. I suppose such a wretched creature as you would be too craven to face a champion for such words. I will slaughter any champion you present. That goes for any of my men here. So you claim. Let us put your words to the test. Sir Roderick, you shall act as my champion. Who do you intend to face them, Duke? I will leave your champion to decide who he wishes to face, should he have spine enough to not turn craven. Roderick had been slowly approaching and frowned as he listened to Dagrix's words. He then came up alongside the Count. So, Roderick, break their morale. Pick any appropriate foe to do such. Roderick looked to the Count and let out a frustrated sigh before he turned to look at Dagrix and then behind him, for he drew his sword and pointed it to one of Dagrix's compatriots. He could tell by where the sword was pointed that he had chosen one of the smaller heroes. 'Tis a poor choice, but I will not let you choose again. Dagrix turned away from the man, who began to dismount his horse, while the Count turned and guided his riderless horse back to the procession. Devrick walked forward with a smirk on his scaled face, but Dagrix knelt down and looked to him. No playing around. End it quickly and decisively. I want them put off guard. Remember my words before. I understand, Your Grace. Annihilation and humiliation. The Black Dragon nodded his head and then stepped back to the other heroes before turning to watch. Devrick stepped forward, and while still several paces from the dismounted knight, he raised his arm across his chest. In the name of our God King. The gods are against you, cretin. You are beneath us. On your word to begin, when do you want your knight to die? Shit, that was Dagrix. On your word to begin, when do you want your knight to die? Dagrix called out to the Count, a smirk coming across his face. The Count scowled and then raised his hand up casually before casting it forward. Begin. The knight immediately began to charge towards the little kobold, yet he too was already in action as his hand slipped to the pack on his back, the left hand casting out something onto the ground, which the knight tried to sidestep but got caught on the shin. A loud mechanical snap could be heard, and though the knight wasn't harmed, he was entangled and fell forward. Yet the right hand came forward right after, a glass flask with a stopper soon leaving the kobold's hand. The knight panicked from the snare and tried to draw his shield up, catching the flask on the edge and shattering it, the liquid inside splattering across Roderick's plate and face guard, soon followed by the horrifying sound of sizzling and crackling. Bah! Was all that came from the knight as the concentrated dragon acid began to slowly eat away at the armor, but had seeped through the gaps and was devouring flesh and bone with exceptional speed. Roderick spasmed and was trying to get his helmet off, eventually managing to get the collapsing, hissing metal away. Yet as his head became exposed, Devrick withdrew his hand crossbow and with a single bolt buried the length into the left side of Roderick's nose, punching into his face and burying it to the wood fletching. The knight collapsed after that, and the kobold turned away and rejoined the other heroes where the Count called out, "You honorless monster!" It was a battle to the death, and your champion chose to target an opponent who was at a disadvantage. His life ended with the level of his honor, face down, gurgling in the mud. The Count was completely enraged at that and drew his sword before he swept his arm into the air and called his procession back to the battle lines that had finished forming. Dagrix then drew his arm to the side, and the heroes all returned quickly to their lines. Gaddox gave Devrick a pat on the head and let out a hearty chuckle. "You certainly didn't disappoint. You have thoroughly upset their commander. Now we will let them fully into the trap. Have the front line collapse backwards before the enemy gets to them. We want to draw as many as possible so Steeljaw doesn't have to work as hard." The Count looked to the captains and called out, "I want all units forward. Will not accept their surrender. No hesitation from anyone. Crush those upstarts and bring me the head of that duke." The captains bowed their heads and gave a clap to their breastplate in acknowledgement. Yet a mage came up to the Count and started to speak up. "Forgive me, Count, but it would be wiser to keep the troops in reserve. We don't know what all they have." "What they have does not matter in the face of the gods, you old fool. Now trouble me no longer with your worries." The wizened mage lowered his head and turned from the Count before rejoining his fellow spellslingers. "I am worried, so keep your eyes open. Something seems amiss." Sorry, give me a second. We'll continue on in the chapter, but give me one moment. The Lagaral lines of foot began to move forward, every formation surging as they steadily marched towards the Jakor front line. By comparison, the staggered line of foot from Jakor looked like a joke. Preparing against archers and making the line seem even more fragile. The only strength were the two squares of spear on either side of the center to defend against a mounted flank. The mounted cavalry of Lagaral kept pace with the footmen, while their archers began to start harassing fire on the staggered line of the Jakor footmen. Yet as they were spaced out, there was no good volley fire to take them down. You know, I've said footmen too many times. Them down. They in turn had larger tower shields to help defend their entire body. It was a choice to leave the usual heater and kite shields behind and instead opt to keep full body protection from this shield. Dagrix then raised his right hand before the mixed units of rangers and archers drew back their first volley and then fired it down the hill. Phew, excuse me, this is a hell of a line. I think I need to break this up. Dagrix then raised his right hand before the mixed units of rangers and archers drew back their first volley and then fired it down the hill towards the front line of advancing foot. While the enemy had armor, the pointed piercing heads managed to punch through a few of the front soldiers, causing them to fall and thus slowed the advance as the following ranks had to awkwardly navigate past them. This also signaled the enemy front to begin charging up the hill. The Jakor front line fell back, running to keep ahead of that advancing line that was now navigating past the Cheval de Frise. Oh my god, is anybody going to know what those are? The Cheval de Frise spikes. Speaks. Cheval de Frise speaks. They speak to me. The little pointed bastards speak. The Jakor front line fell back, running to keep ahead of the advancing line that was now navigating past the Cheval de Frise. The Cheval de Frise that kept... I'm going to get rid of spikes. The spikes is what's causing me to stumble. Well, the sad part is that it's only French. Like, it's hard to describe them in any other way than the fact that it's a bunch of, like... It's basically, like, medieval razor wire, right? Barbed wire. But they're made out of wood. That kept the cavalry from charging. Dagrick smirked as the enemy formations began to condense and charge up in a ripple, following the line of battle in front as they ran. He then raised his left hand and squeezed it like a fist. Lagerall would come to understand its meaning quickly, as several golems stood up, tall enough to be just visible from the other side of the hill. Then came the rain of fermenting pots, each the size of a man and filled with hot tar. The Lagerall line had condensed too much to allow troops to maneuver, and thus the pots came crashing down into the massed bodies of footmen. The screams of panic and pain surged throughout the Lagerall lines as the jars cracked onto the mass of humanity and shattered, sending their bubbling contents splattering over those not directly impacted. The cavalry shifted to try and get past the footmen and towards the back line, but were chased by the squares of spearmen keeping a mass of points at them. This prompted them to take to the fields of grain to try and get around them, which led them right into the waiting jaws of an ambush. The mages at the back of Lagerall lines were in shock as they saw the golems, and were delayed in their actions to start spell-slinging. Yet the biggest surprise was to come as the enemy cavalry pushed into the grain, where multiple mages and others stood up. Quickly the ground split, fire serpents weaved through the sky, and lightning crackled into the cavalry. This was the least of their worries, as amongst the grain were several Dracoran who changed their true forms and drove at the cavalry. Great jaws of teeth came crashing down onto them. Bits of horse, man, and metal were all drawn into their grasp. The bone crunching and screams radiated out over the battlefield. Already the rearmost rank of footmen and even some cavalry were in flight, while the counts stared in complete idiocy, unable to even speak. Apparently, I'm undergoing idiocy right now myself. His senses didn't return even when Dagrick stood from his throne and began to charge towards the front, rising up into the air and shifting his form. The Lagerall mages finally came to their senses and began to hurl spells into the fields of grain, bursting them into flame. Yet their efforts were being countered and thwarted as more and more Dracor mages began to turn their focus and started to hurl far more devastating spells at their enemy counterparts. The mages were able to counter many with quick thinking of their leader, who raised a wall of earth, but the sheer firepower of spells targeted at them quickly started to break it to pieces. Not being fools, the Lagerall mages scattered and began to retreat to the tree line as fast as they could, the sound of screams and fury chasing at their very heels. At the edge of the tree line, a lone Dracoran rushed forward. His dark red scales with black striping added an eerie, otherworldly look to his enhanced speed. Yet only he could see the larger picture, as the sky began to swirl and a figure bathed in light was quickly descending towards the ground. A god had come to help turn the tide back in the favor of Lagerall, leaving Vanguard to hope vainly that he would arrive in time. If he hadn't turned back to save Everwood, if he had kept to his own worries, he would be there to assist. Yet he knew that such self-doubt was a poison, and rationalized that had he been there, he would not have noticed the figure's descent. All things happen for a reason. Even his existence happened for a reason. Meraxus, be with me. Please. Everything before had been a lie. All his past was nothing but the imaginings of higher beings. His clan, his den, his family. He was someone meant to fulfill a role, and yet he took strange comfort in knowing he had been chosen because of his talents, artificial as they may be, being chosen for who he was, not for some prophecy or fanciful whim. Dagritz took a deep breath and opened the vents inside his throat. As he exhaled, the chemicals from his throat were propelled forward, colliding midair in front of his open jaw, with a popping and gurgling sound as they formed the acidic combination. The gout of dragon acid sprayed out over the heads of the Drakor footmen, carried by the pressure of Dagrix's exhale. The sound of screaming cried out over the battlefields, while the footmen of Drakor reformed ranks in a tight formation, waiting for their duke's chemical concoction to dissipate. The duke reared his head back and let the last bits of acid drip down before him, all while a grin came across his scaled snout. He could feel the fear and desperation surging around him. It was as if he could feed off it. Yet soon after he turned his gaze to see Vanguard wading through the Lagerall footmen who were in full rout. He wanted to speak, but Vanguard leapt from before him and pushed Dagrix over, who flailed in surprise. However, his eyes would go wide as he saw the glowing blade came down into Vanguard's horn and passed straight through into his neck. That sword had been right where Dagrix's head had been, and as Vanguard gasped in pain, his momentum carried him crashing into the larger black dragon, before toppling up and over, hitting the hill and rolling until he came to a stop. His head was no longer aligned with his neck, and his body was spasming softly against the grass. Other Dracoran had witnessed the blow, and some had turned their eyes skywards. There they saw another figure drawing a bow back, and with a glowing arrow nocked and ready to be loosed. A young green dragon charged towards Dagrix and leapt as the arrow arced from the sky and pierced through the membrane of the green dragon's wing, for burying itself in his side. Dagrix looked from the swordsman that tried to fell him to the wounded green dragon beside him. He knew immediately that the battle had drawn incredible attention, and he hoped he was ready to face it. A cry resounded around Dagrix as Jorman and the other heroes charged forward, and many dragons took to the sky. "Protect his grace! Protect your duke!" came Jorman's voice as he charged at the faintly glowing swordsman, who wore a mask concealing his own face. His sword attempted to strike at the figure's side, but as his blade met that of the divine being's own, it shattered, and he found himself taking a strong backswing, only kept from being cleaved in two by having grabbed the arm, so he was tossed aside. As an arrow flew directly into the divine's arm, yet it seemed to cause no notice of injury, and instead began to melt away, all while Dagrix rallied to his feet and turned to face his would-be slayer. Dagrix threw out a flask of liquid, though the god didn't even try to dodge it, in hubris, thinking it a mere annoyance. Yet when the flask broke and allowed... Pardon me. Hold on. Welcome to the Throat Demons. When the flask broke and a loud crackling and sizzling followed it, the being realized his mistake and let out a shriek of pain. The mask began to pop and bubble, while the crackling sound of flesh bursting from acid followed, and he realized it had been more dragon acid. Dagrix smirked to himself and then flinched back as the god attempted to lunge at him, only interrupted when Dagrix swept his tail hard with enough force to dent the metal armor and send the god tumbling to the dirt. Another arrow arced down and hit right beside Dagrix, a near miss, as the other being was now being harassed in the sky by several Dracoran, including Zhao, who used his serpentine body to shift and change direction rapidly. "Get Jorman out of here, Devrick!" The Duke's words sprung the little Dracine into action as he ran as fast as his kobold feet would take him. His pace ceased as he looked down at the now lifeless body of the proud human hero that had fallen, his intestines having slipped through the wound in his side. In his panic to keep them inside, he hadn't protected his head well enough, and the impact had broken his neck. Devrick almost panicked in turn that such a strong warrior could be snuffed out so quickly, but his panic was soon channeled towards the righteous fury, and he turned back towards the struggle. Several Jakor footmen charged the downed god as he ripped his mask free and stood, his gauntlet crashing into the face of one man, shattering his face and sending him back against the hill hard. A sweep of his sword then cleanly shattered a few shields and took off the arms and torso of another. This brought the charge to a halt, and Devrick cried out from behind them, "Fall back! Only Draconian... Fall back! Only Draconian... I keep stumbling here. Fall back! Only Dracorian can wound the gods." Devrick ran up and helped one of the men missing an arm stand before drawing him away from the conflict. Dagrix attempted to spray another gout of acid at the god, but his ear fins caught the sound of an arrow in flight and he quickly kicked off to the side, just barely able to force the arrow to miss. He shot a glance up at the sky and saw to his horror that hundreds of other beings were descending from the clouds. The dragons quickly bit and devoured as many as they could, but this kept them preoccupied and away from the god archer, who had been unleashing arrows against multiple targets. The Count tried to rally his troops, yet the mages and dragons still on the ground were doing their best to discourage them from their bravery. "Stand and fight! Sangris the Just has come! The god of justice is here to fight beside you, as is the goddess of nature herself, Missandra." Yet his words were having little effect, as in the face of spells, gnashing teeth, and slashing claws that swept through them. The Count stood strong and defiant, not wanting to turn and lose face before the very gods, and made a resolute vow that he would not flee this field. An arrow screamed towards Master Vixoris, but he had already erected a mighty pillar to catch it. He then quickly ordered a golem to throw large chunks of rocks up into the sky. That damnable Zhao! How is he to work his ground magics in the sky? The golems obeyed and hurled stone up into the air, with the hopes Zhao would get the message. It was much to Zhao's credit that the moment he saw the rocks arcing up, he dove down to meet them, quickly gripping them in hand and drawing it up, aiming it towards the goddess. Missandra turned and prepared to dodge the boulder. Great white wings spread from her back, which helped carry her like a bird through the sky. Yet she saw the twisted smile on the serpent dragon's face before he squeezed his hand and the boulder shattered apart and burst forth like a spray of shards. Missandra dove down hard, just missing the makeshift flechettes, but several of her, as well as her lover's host of heavenly beings, were hit and sent hurtling to the ground dead. Zhao dove to the next boulder and once again aimed it at the goddess, who had turned to watch her host fall. She then let out a cry of fury and dove straight for Zhao to try and catch him before he could cast again. A couple dragons fell from the sky, which made Daggert flinch to see his kin being killed. This only added fuel to his wrath, which began to pulse and course through his body like a cocktail of energy. He started to grow larger, and his breathing got heavier as he glared at the god of justice, a cursed vengeance welling within him. He stared into the jagged face of Sangris, who had removed his bubbling mask and had turned to draw his guard up in preparation for a battle against the giant black dragon. That is when the entire battlefield was drowned out by a thunderous roar in the distance that made everyone flinch, be they heavenly host, god, dragon, or mortal being. All turned to see the mighty utterance's source. And that leads into the chapter King of Dragons. You know, let's read it, shall we? Let's read it. Maybe not the whole thing, because I can feel my throat is not happy with me right now. I also feel kind of light, I think would be the word for it. Like I feel weirdly light, like a bit of my lip is a little tingly, stuff like that. You know, where you just feel far, far lighter than you normally do. It's very strange feeling. So, King of Dragons. Meraxus let out a cry of anguish as he tried to rise from the bed, his body refusing to obey him, and thus his mind raced and he couldn't help but feel panicked. Cortisoth said nothing as he watched him struggle, and instead chose to keep him company. The force of will on display was impressive. That drive would be most needed if the king should awaken from his coma. Meraxus let out a long snarl as he struggled to rise again, his body disobeying every command his brain tried to send and remained dormant. This is my body, my mind. I am in control. He repeated to himself hundreds, maybe even thousands of times, his desperation driving him to keep trying in spite of constant failures. He forced himself, an arm, maybe a leg, even just a wiggle of his finger, anything would do. Cortisoth's face was dour, and he had long since turned away from the king and leaned against the bedpost. Yet a soft rustle quickly drew his attention, and he snapped his gaze back towards Meraxus, who was panting and gritting his teeth as his right leg shifted under the blankets. He gave it everything, all his desire, all his energy, all of his focus. He could feel the burning sensation coursing through his body, yet most of all he gave it his wrath, the ultimate hatred that boiled in his veins and made his heart pump harder. A burning sensation flooded through him, his vision from his left eye began to get fuzzy, and his scales seemed to flake off. Cortisoth's mouth began to hang open, and he looked from the writhing body of Meraxus towards his face, his focus specifically on the left eye, which began to crackle with energy. My body, my kingdom, mine. Meraxus' voice had shifted, and there was a vibrancy to it that hadn't been there before. Cortisoth then stood up from his relaxed position and was about to grab Meraxus, but stopped himself. He then leaned in close. Listen to me, Meraxus. Listen carefully. You stand at the edge of true oblivion. Live or die, you will have to decide. Your body is not ready for this. Mine. Mine. Meraxus, listen. I cannot help you in this. Meraxus. Cortisoth called out, but Meraxus faded as he began to roll himself in bed, and then the pain surged through his body. His eyes opened, his vision blurred and hazy in his left eye, and his scales flaking from his body. His breathing was heavy, and his hands snapped as he tried to reach for the post to support himself. The pain surged through him, and he could barely focus. Eudoxus rushed to his side and was screaming something out as he rushed. I already said rushed, so let's put as he stood beside his king. He grabbed at the cloth of his royal clothing, yet it was tearing as Meraxus' body was shifting, and he took a step towards the door. Another scream came from Eudoxus, and the door into the king's chamber flew open as servants and Lady Fedoris came in. They were all staggered at the sight of him, the servants unable to move, yet Fedoris rushed to Meraxus and pushed in against his chest. Meraxus' split vision tried to look at her, one side remaining blurry while the other pulsed in and out of focus. The canals of his ears connected to the base of his ear fins were buzzing, unable to make out her words as he looked at her. He brought up his right hand, scales falling from it as he gently placed it on her head, which caused her to look up to his eyes. He could just make out the tears streaming down her face, and he let out a long breath. Fedoris. He felt the name clumsily fall from his mouth as the pain pulsated throughout his body, and his throat felt as if it were tearing itself apart. I have long meant to say these words. Long have I looked upon you and feared that your heart had been manipulated by me. I was a fool. I love you, Fedoris. May your heart truly feel the same as mine. She burst into tears and was trying to speak, but he could not hear her words, and instead he carefully moved her aside, his body lurching towards the door once more. Needed. I am needed. Servants made way for him as he came around the bed and began to open the doors out to the balcony. Fedoris grabbed at him for a moment, but she eventually let go as he stepped onto the rail of the balcony, his wings unfurling as he drove himself over the railing, and his wings caught the air. He was surprised at how easily he flew through the air, though everything felt so much smaller than it had before. Yet the air also burned as he moved through it, his body shaking and twisting as he passed over the fortified gatehouse at the mall to his capital. He had to land on the bridge extending out, scaring a few of the civilians using it as he began to vomit and convulse. He almost fell off his feet, but he then kicked off from the ground again and started racing towards the pillars of smoke in the distance. The vision in his left eye refocused, but not directly in front of him. Instead, it shifted and looked at the body of a fallen Dracoran. His dark red scales and black stripes stood out against the grass. Marax's breathing became hotter, to the point he felt he was spewing flames, and the left eye focused over each new body. Jorman, the footman, all the other dragons falling from the sky. His body rippled, and the pain felt like a splitting headache. His hands came up to his skull, which pulsed and pounded as if it threatened to come open. His body shook and convulsed as he took in a deep breath and then let loose a violent and bloody roar. Blood splattering out from his mouth, scales cracking and flaking away from his body as the sheer force of the scream moved the very grass far beneath his beating wings. All eyes turned to face him, and an intense bloodlust surged forward. Kill them. Kill all of them. Bathe in their blood. Screams and fear. And that's where I'll end it. Perfectly at 1 o'clock. Holy shit. Perfect timing. Yeah, chat. I don't know why I feel kind of like a little light, right? I feel a little light. Yeah, so there's a bit more than I intended to give you from His Majesty the Dragon. Again, which is the book series that will follow the rise of Meraxes to what he is now. Oh my goodness. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I was a bit shaky in some of it, but you know, such is the way of things. So chat, for this weekend for Saturday Showtime, we'll be watching Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. So hopefully you guys will look forward to that, and I will see you there for that. In the meantime, hopefully you guys... Oh! Before we go. No, I'll save that for tomorrow. I'm feeling rough. But yeah, in the meantime, hope you guys take care. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe and healthy. Get fit, get ripped. And I will see you back here tomorrow. Bye for now, everyone, and I appreciate you all being here. I really do.